Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online B2 visa consultant. Now, are you interested about Australian migration, visa, or perhaps study abroad? Why don't you consider to subscribe to our channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the insights and information, you should be the first one getting all the news. Okay, now, today is actually very exciting. It's the 5th of February 2021, and it's the date that South Australia state government announces their skill migration criteria. So I'm here to it's actually just came out a couple hours ago. So I'm actually going to take you into a pathway to actually go through all the schemes and criteria required by the state of South Australia. So let's jump into it and stay with us to go through the whole procedures. Now, this is the exciting part because this actually shows the occupation list is functional now, so you can actually search them. But what we're gonna do is we will jump back to the end and go through all the different occupation. Obviously, it looks like every single occupation's in here, but then it does have a little bit detail in here. You can see there's so many, but we will go through them together at the end of this video. So at the beginning, let's jump back. It's all about skilled migrants, right? So the options are all open now. Now bear in mind, although the criteria has been announced and publicly published, but you can they'll only start processing 8th of February, which is gonna be next Monday. Okay, so obviously state government will open their subclass 190 491. So the difference between 190 and 491, obviously 190 gets you a permanent residency straight away, and 491 you'll get a 5 years temporary residency visa, working and continue to stay in regional Australia. That include the whole state of South Australia. And once you prove yourself with 3 years worth of the minimum wage income annually, then you will be able to transfer into permanent residency under subclass 191. So I've already getting to these details. Let's jump in there. Now, 190. Okay. What we're gonna do here, there is 190 and 491. So how the I took some time to actually digest it through all the state of South Australia's migration structures. So I'm going to explain here a little bit. Basically, what it does is that the criterias for the state nominations and their special pathways are the same for both 190 and 491. So people are saying if they are same, why are they two different kind of subclasses? Basically, it's all due to occupation that you pick, and also the point score that you have for your EOI, your skill select points. So if you got less points, obviously you cannot meet 190's point requirement. Then obviously you need to move down to 491. So that's how it works. So and let's jump into it and go back and have a look. So what we're going to do is within 190 and 491, we're going to first and go into the nomination requirement here. So the nomination requirement, so you can see here, this web page are accessible to both subclass 190 and 491, so there's no differences there. So you can see at the left hand side of the web page we are directed to the state nomination requirement here. I'm not going to go into checklist today because that's basically all the passports and your qualification, work experience, skill assessment thingy. So the state nomination basically require your residency requirement. So that again, they want people already in South Australia, okay, especially in South Australia. Offshore applicants are not available, not eligible at the moment. I believe will only be eligible. The earliest will be July 1st, 2021. State nominations required for meet state skill needs, and what is required, then that will actually goes into the occupation list where they will give you detail there. If you're in Australia but not currently residing in South Australia, you are ineligible. Again, they only want people who are currently in Adelaide in South Australia. Okay, if you currently reside offshore, you are ineligible again. Okay, now you got to be under 45 years of age. That's pretty obvious. That's the minimum requirement. Occupation, we will go through that at the end of this video. You need to have a positive skill assessment. So again, if you do not know what skill assessment is, please refer to the skill assessment video that I had done previously. You can actually search and found them. They are into different categories due to different type of occupations. Skill assessment must have been issued in the last 3 years. So that's pretty obviously. You need to have a valid skill assessment result. Work experience, you need to meet work experience requirement listed. So again, that goes into occupation. So we will pick a couple of occupation and go through them together at the end of this video again. Skill work experience must be undertaken at least minimum of 20 hours per week. So it doesn't require to be a full-time. It can be part-time. Position must be paid. That's pretty obvious. English requirement, again, minimum is competent. That's IELTS 6, but some occupation require higher, and some skill assessing authority require higher English. That's pretty obvious. So for example, teachers and the nurses, medical people. If your occupation requires registration, obviously you need that. So nurse has a nursing license. If you're a passport holder of United States, United Kingdom, Ireland, Canada, and New Zealand, you do not need to provide English test result. Okay, that's a benefit if you are from those countries. Points, you must meet minimum points. That's 65, and that 65 includes the state points. So if you go to 190, you get 5 points off states. If you go through 491, they give you a higher point of 15. You need to ensure that you meet the Department of Home Affairs requirement. That's pretty obvious. We will go through the priority stream together as well. Then that's the difference. That's the new thing that South Australia has coined. So there are 3 pathways. There's Talent Innovator Program. There's a current working in South Australia, and there is an international graduate of South Australia. So then the bottom bit will be directing you what EOI does and all the jargons that we have gone through 100 times already. So I'm not going to go through that now. So again, this goes back, the state nomination for 190 and 491 are the same. It basically means that the minimum requirement has to be meeting the skill assessments, English, your age, you're under 45, and you're currently in South Australia. That's a very important part. Now let's go to the pathways that they are actually pointed out. So that's a Talent Innovator Program and international graduates, and the current living and working in Australia. So now, first one, which one do we pick? Let's go to, what's this one? Hold on. Talent. Now let's go to talent. Okay, now, and this is current living and working in. What I'm gonna do is let's go through the current living and working in South Australia. That's the very minimum one. So that's for people who are already in South Australia. So if you're already living there, you're encouraged to consider apply. State nomination, encourage. Well, you need to meet the requirement too. Again, you need to show that you have been at least 20 hours per week, and we need to pick the occupation that you're in. So again, the occupation list page is very important now. So everything points out towards your occupations listed there and the South Australian criteria for your particular occupation. So that, again, that's the key there. Now, if you're applying, so this is what's it say? If you're applying for subclass 491, you must currently be working at least 6 months. So again, if you haven't been working there, obviously you can't access this pathway. Okay, so there are 3 pathways. So we have the minimum state requirement, and then you need to pick the three pathways. So the current one we are talking about is the living and working in South Australia. Okay. Now, if you pick 190, you need to show that you already been working there for 12 months. Bear in mind, the working hours only required to be 20 hours per week. Okay, and of course, in your occupation, you cannot be an IT profession and been working as a chef or cook. Okay, that won't work. Okay, you must meet state nomination requirement. That's what we have gone through. And if you're on 457, 482, or 494 visa holder with more than 12 months remaining, you must provide a letter of your current employer consent to your state application. So again, that's another thing that we're gonna go through. So now there are a couple other stuff for living. So that one for living and working, that's the first one, the first item for living and working in Australia. So there are other ones. So this one is living and working in regional South Australia. So uh, the previous one what we just talked about can be employment in Adelaide, in the city of Adelaide. Now, regional South Australia will be somewhere, I believe, will be about hour drive away from the city of Adelaide. Then obviously there's eligible postcodes. I'm not going to go through that today. Uh, uh, Generally, will be an hour away drive from the city of Adelaide. Okay, so you need to show that you've been living in the outer regional South Australia and currently residing or working for at least 12 months. Okay, and you may be eligible for 491 nomination. So there is no 190. Looks like. Strangely, uh, they want to lock you in. In other words, they want to lock you in the regional South Australia. So if you're currently residing working outer Australia, you're unable to meet the requirement, you're still encouraged to submit application. Reason of being unable to meet published requirement include visa expiry, things like that. So they're giving incentive. They can waive whatever this is required. Okay, as long as you can prove that you've been working in the outer region. Okay, and the third one is, let's have a look. You need to show that you've been long-term resident in South Australia. This is very similar to what Canberra coined. Canberra proposed people have been living, working, study. The longer you've been living in that region, they give you points. So they're giving incentive in South Australia as well. So how can you meet this requirement? They are stream 1, 2 here. So again, there are so many other ones. So I encourage all the audiences today, go through this by yourself, have a question, leave your query down below. Okay, so stream 1, you were an international graduate and partner. I don't know what partner is. If you're a former international graduate of South Australia or a partner of international graduates currently residing in South Australia, and you have resided continuously in South Australia for at least 3 years, then you can apply. They encourage you to do 491. Or if you've been with that for 5 years, then you can go for 190. How do you get 5 years? It's pretty obvious. You go through a bachelor degree and then a master, you get 5 years. Or you study a bachelor degree and you get the 485 visas, 2 years, 5 years. Or perhaps you have come there for high school, 2 years, and 3 years, or bachelor's, 5 years. So get 5 years, it's pretty easy, as long as you meet that requirement. And you're currently working last 12 months in South Australia in the skill occupation of skill 1, 2, 3. 4 can be added. So 1, 2, 3 basically covers everything if you're an international student. And your work experience the last 12 months has been 20 hours per week. So that's actually pretty easy to meet. Okay, and then stream 2, other temporary visa holder excluding student and graduate visa. So if that means for offshore or people that come there for working visas, you have resided there for at least 7 years. Wow, that's hard. How do you get 7 years of work visa and you not even turn yourself into permanent resident? Anyway, you must currently work in 12 months in the occupation, and your work experiences is 12 months. Well, applicants are eligible for 491 nomination only, so they want to lock you in more time. They don't offer 190 like the international graduate. So that's for currently living and working there. So let's come back to the special requirement. So we have gone through the current living and working, and let's have a look at the international graduates waiver, perhaps. So there are additional waiver for international graduates, as long as you have been minimum of 46 weeks. So that's pretty easy. You get an international student visa, you get that. Minimum 50% of your qualification must have been completed in South Australia. So you can be a transfer student. So you have studied in Brisbane for 1 year and you transfer to South Australia to complete your bachelor, whatever that you're looking for. Reside for at least 1 year, continues to reside in South Australia and completion. So that's pretty obvious and easily to be done. Now, I want to take you to this one, is that the researcher will undertake as part of your PhD will not be accepted for skill or experiences. So that's the disadvantage. Again, the working definition for South Australia is only for 20 hours per week, and that's very good. And the skill work experience waiver. So that's for the talent innovator program. So that's the one we're gonna go through right now. Okay, let's jump into that one now. So it's a little bit complicated, but if you look at the structure, you'll see you go through your occupation, you meet your occupation's requirements, and you come back and you meet South Australia's residency requirements, and then you pick the pathways, whether you are an international graduate and how long have you been living in South Australia, or you've been working in South Australia, or perhaps if that don't fit, then obviously the talent part will get you there. So there are 4 streams so that we're gonna go through now. Bear in mind these are not business or investment type of visa. They are still utilizing the skill part and encourage the graduates or the skilled people who are under age of 45 to start in the innovative business stream. That's what they're trying to do. So, okay, let's go through this. For highly skilled migrants who are working in South Australia, that's for employment. Okay, now that's a little bit hard, but some people might meet those requirements. Startup, small business, so that will be similar to the SPO of Queensland. High performance graduates, so if you achieve very high school, you can actually apply through this. And independent talent stream, so we will go through that together. All these occupations required to be go through state nomination available talent innovator program. What I'm gonna do is in the coming future, I'm gonna take this as a single video and go through very detailed for everybody together. Okay, so prospective applicant who meets the below employments for small business, startup, independent stream are encouraged to submit expression of interest of talent innovator program. Okay, so there's an actual special portal for this, and the high performer graduates can apply directly to state nomination. So only if you're doing business or startup, then you need to go through this portal. If South Australia is satisfied with your expression of interest, you will be invited to submit an online application. So you need to go through the portal, put your background in, and they will invite you if they like you to become the resident in South Australia. All applicant must be meeting the departmental requirements, so that's pretty obvious. So 491 or 190 and talent innovator program is currently unavailable for offshore. Again, not available for offshore. Talent development is currently unavailable applicant applying for other Australian states. So they only want people who are already in South Australia. Okay, now employment stream. Let's get ready. Okay, now employment stream, you must be obviously employed by an South Australian employer in the growth state industry sector. Now I'm gonna click on this and let's jump into that quickly and have a look what those sectors actually include. At least been there for 12 months, and that business is required to be at least a turnover of 4 million. Startup may be exempt from annual turnover. Business will operate in outer region of South Australia, exempt from annual turnover. Be a business of good standing, so it's a sound business. You must be earning a salary threshold, and that has to be above 80,000 per annum. And then you must be in South Australia. That's pretty obvious. On an existing temporary visa, so uh, temporary visa working for. So temporary visa includes the 485, 482, TSS. Student visa also included as well. You are expected to have proficient plus, that's 7.5 IELTS, okay? And you are expected to have considered relevant work experience in the field, okay? Obviously, you got the background. So if you're ICT programmer, you got to have a background of experiences in ICT programmer. Must be a short business case, maximum 2 pages. They need to provide a business plan. Now let's go to those sectors that the South Australia does provide here. So again, I'm not gonna go into all these details. I'm gonna close them. Okay. So basically, these are the sectors that South Australia will continue to promote and prioritize. So tourism, international education, defense. Wow, you must be making weaponries. Food, wine, agribusiness, high tech, health, medical, energy, mining, space industry, and creative industry. So that's for you to review. Okay, now startup. Now you might want to start something up as a business. So let's go through these criteria. You must already establish the business for an operation for at least 12 months, and you've been living in South Australia for 24 months. You're an existing SISA visa holder. You must have established business for at least 6 months and reside in South Australia. Your business must be able to give personal income for the minimum taxable income requirement. Now that's $53,900 per annum. Business aligned to the growth state industry sector. So that's the sector that we've just been through. So agri, high tech, medical, tourism, international education, defense, space, and energy. Business employ at least 2 employees. Other than the applicant, an ongoing full-time basis will be favored. Okay. You must provide business case. Again, you need to have a business case. You need to describe what your business is about. So, for example, if you have, for example, a travel agency in South Australia, for example, then that meets the tourism sector. Obviously, you employ yourself and then employ 2 other full-time. Okay. Self-employed must apply through this stream, and only business owner can apply for this business stream. Okay, and franchise are ineligible. Okay, so they don't want franchise. They want you to innovate something yourself. Okay, now moving into the high performer. So obviously that's for people who are graduate from South Australia and you have complete bachelor, minimum 50% complete in South Australia. And you are in South Australia and your English level is at proficient, that's IELTS 7. Your field of education taken into consideration, and your previous studying works may be taken into consideration. So you need to provide summary 2 pages of what you have achieved, and it has to be contribute to the sectors that called out by South Australia, and how your area of study can be contribute to South Australia. And if you have completed PhD or master by research, you can apply once degree has been conferred. So again, that's for people who, so again, this is for people who graduate as a PhD or master by research. And also PhD and master by research can also access to GTI. So you can either use access to 190 under South Australia or the GTI program by the Department of Immigration. If you're a complete master by course, okay, you need to be at least 78 weeks, and your GPA has to be 6 or above. Okay, if you graduate first class honor, okay, you have to be in this 92 weeks, and your GPA is gonna be 6.0 or higher. Okay, so that's for high achiever, high performer. Okay, now independent talent, very interesting this one. Let's go through them as well. So you need to demonstrate evidence of this stream that you have been living in South Australia and your EOI is above 95 points. And you have an IELTS level of 7.5, that's proficient plus, and you are expected to have considered relevant work experience in the field limited. However, limited experience may be considered exceptional cases. And again, you need to write your case. You need to be, again, that's more like a CV, and it has to be in the sector that we call now, so the high tech, tourism, things like that. Additional detail, any skill set courses, awards that you want to present yourself. An applicant meets critical skill sector coined by Commonwealth government will be prioritized. So that's for all the IT nurses and some engineers. Okay, now finally we're gonna go into the occupation list. So this is a very good web page. You might want to put it in your bookmark. So you can do, they have a search engine here. So if we put in accountant, they will only show accountants here. So if we're accountant, let's have a look at the detail. Obviously offshore you can't do it. Management accountant, all these occupation I have checked offshore you cannot do it. So there's a lot of details in here. So let's just pick one here. Now, so if you're an accountant, it's eligible for 190. Compared to a lot of state, they don't offer accountant at the moment. You gotta be nominated closely related occupation at least 12 months, greater than Adelaide and last 12 outer region. So you got to be working. You got to be currently working as accountant in order to actually lodge to be invited for 190 and 491. You got to be 12 months. So 190, 2 years, 491, 1 year. Occupation with the same skill assessing authority are closely related, available through talent innovator program, waiver exemption for long-term resident. So it's actually very handy. So while we have gone through all these minimum criteria detail in the past, how many 25 minutes, going through occupation list might be more handy because that gives you straight answers here. So that's 190 and 491, and they also give you the South Australia graduate pathway. What you're required to do, you need to go bachelor, you need to be working. They give you a lot of detail. And if you're a PhD, and that's all the requirement there. So I think that's actually very handy. So why don't we do, for example, chef, see how it shows. Again, offshore cannot be done. They're open for 190. So you can see 190 here for chef is different than the accountant. The accountant required for 24 months of working experience. Chef only required 12 months. But that says outer regional Australia. I'm not too sure. I think this is a error there. But anyway, they want you to work in outer region. They see the reason they do that. I think is for chef you cannot do 190 in Adelaide. Okay, your work experience has to be in regional. Okay, available for talent and outer regional and long term. If you're a graduate, this is all you're required to be done. So this is actually very handy. So if we remove all this, all the occupation here includes all the agri farmers, and let's try horticulture and see if we got anything there. Oops. Oh, that should be nursery person, hey, for the actual. Here we go. Okay, nursery person. Cannot be done by offshore. Can only do 491. You need to be nominated in the closely related and at least 6 months work experiences. So that's pretty easy, and it's available for talent and long-term residents. So, and that's how you search them. So they got all the. I think they have all the um, occupations here. Now, even like something like photographer, they are available only for talent innovation program. So that means that you might start a studio, for example, okay, and you'll be eligible. But you need to meet the South Australian state criteria. You can be a director, okay. And let's go through something more statisticians, okay. Uh, so that gives you all the detail there. Valuer, um, architect's hard, but once you graduate, should be able to get it. Jewelry designer, oh, there's talent for innovator program. So they're actually open for anything. So it's more talent and innovation is more like the SBO for Queensland as well. And they have all the occupations that you can see here, and you can Google them through. There's a massage. Did I see massage therapist somewhere? Dental technician can still be done. And enroll nurse. You don't have to be a registered nurse, and they give you all the detail and points requirements. Massage therapist, okay. They are available for 491 only, okay, and details there. Tennis coach, only for innovators. Footballer, only for innovators as well, and the property manager only for innovator program. So again, that means you need to create a business to actually in order to get into that sector. So that's for the South Australian skill migration today, and all the criteria under subclass 491 and 190. Should you have more query, more than welcome to go through all these detail and then leave your query and what you thought, what you think about migrating to South Australia. Is it great or compared to other states? Leave a comment right below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.